right, so to make enough for my family, we are gonna start with 2 cups of flour in our bowl. All right, so 2 cups of flour into the bowl. I do have ready to go about a half cup of milk. We are gonna do a good pinch of salt in here, some pepper, and then I like, in my spretzel, a little bit of garlic powder and some nutmeg. There we go. Okay, I hear that butter bubbling, so let me grab a peek. Oh, it's doing good. Okay, so just give that a stir. Mix those seasonings into it. All right, make a little well kind of in the middle. And then we're gonna need 4 eggs. Again, this is they're an egg dumpling. So we will do 4 eggs. And just with your fork, whisk those up. And then we're gonna alternate this into our flour. Alternate between the milk and the egg until it's all mixed together. And at the end, you basically want it to be like a thick, you don't want it to be like dough, and you don't want it to be too watery. You want it to be like a thick pancake batter. You want to be able to push it through those holes. If it just pours right through them, that means it's too thin, and they're just going to be these little tiny noodles. They'll still taste good, but not quite what you're looking for. Okay. So we're going to do a little bit of the egg right in the middle there, and just slowly stir it. Start incorporating that flour into it. We're gonna add part of our milk, half the milk. Same thing, just slowly incorporate the flour. Okay, just a little more egg in there. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and pour the rest of the milk. And then the rest of the egg. Again, if you're finding that it's too thick, just add a little bit more milk to it. If it is too thin, you'll have to add a little bit more flour then into it. So let's give this a good mix. Check that butter. Okay, so I'm just going to give it a little shake. It's just barely starting to get a little brown around the edge. That's perfect. That's what you want. You want it to keep going. Back to here. Now this to me is a little too thick. I think I'm going to add a splash more milk to this. Okay. Let's see. Okay. And this is one of those, it's trial and error. If you got to come back, if your first batch is too thin, too thick, just come back over and add whatever you need to. Okay. That looks pretty good. Again, it's nice and thick still, but not too doughy. So at this point, we're ready to take it over to our boiling water and start cooking them. Okay, so at this point, I think our brown butter is pretty much done. It has a nice golden color to it, if you can tell. You can smell it. It takes on a nice nutty, buttery smell. So we're gonna turn that heat off on there. And at this point, that's ready to go. And we will toss that with our spetzel a little bit later on in the pan when we're ready to eat. If it starts to solidify a little bit, just remelt it down. It's no problem. Okay, so I like to use a measuring cup with my batter. And these do cook very quickly. You drop them in, and usually within 30 seconds, they float up to the top. I leave them at about another 30 seconds, and then I'll skim them out. So, I'm gonna hold this over. Get your bowl as close as you can so you don't drip it all over your stove and make a huge disaster. I'm gonna hold this over. I'm gonna throw some of my batter, and it'll start dripping through on its own, and that's fine. But as you can see, it doesn't just pour through, and that's what you want. You want to actually have to force it through. Okay, so you just keep forcing it through. And you can see some of them are already floating to the top. So they do cook real quick. Okay, it's still dripping off the bottom. So we're just gonna set it right on top of our batter bowl here. And you can see a lot of them floating up. Some of them will stick to the bottom. Just kind of go through, get them unstuck. Give them about 20 more seconds and this batch is done. And we're just gonna keep doing them and then adding them into our strainer here and let that water strain through. Okay, those look good. This is a good size. So you just skim all of them out. Okay, so at this point, I am just gonna continue to do this with the rest of the batter. It'll probably take me maybe about another 10 minutes or so and get them all cooked and just keep them all right here in our strainer. We'll be good to go. All right, so I have all of our Spätzle cooked, ready to go. Again, you're keeping it in a little bowl because I will take a little bit of water out. So those are ready to go. Toss them with our brown butter, like I already said. In a little while when we're ready to eat. Sauerkraut's in there, ready to be rewarmed up. Cucumber salad's in the fridge. Next step is just getting our chicken ready to go, get that breaded. So there you go, and not too bad. I only made a tiny bit of a mess. So I'm gonna get that cleaned up and we will be back to show you how to get the chicken ready. All right, everyone, we are ready to start prepping our chicken for our chicken schnitzel. Schnitzel is one of those dishes that can be made with chicken. You tend to see it a lot with pork, with veal, whatever you want to make it with. I just decided to do a chicken, easiest to find right now. But I did not find any cutlets that are already done. So I'm just gonna take some chicken breasts. We will trim them if they need any kind of trimming, and we will just do our own cutlets with it. Overall, they look pretty good. So, trim off anything that you don't want. Okay. And then I am just gonna take my knife, start on the fatter end, just keep an eye on it, and we're gonna go kind of right down the center, flatten that hand on top. Just make sure on both sides that you're pretty even. We're gonna go right down the center with our chicken breast to make our two pieces. And then with each one, what we're gonna do is pound them a little bit thinner. You want them only about 1/4 of an inch or so before we get them breaded. So I'm just gonna do a piece of plastic wrap. Okay, bring that over here. Spread that out. So you're just gonna take that chicken, fold your wrap over it, and then if you have a meat pounder, use that. Again, if you have like a heavy pan, something like that that you need to use, that's fine too. Just something that will make it a little bit thinner. Okay, so we've thinned that out quite a bit. I'm gonna go ahead and just, use my hands, take it and just set it on a pan. I have a pan over here with just some wax paper down. I'm gonna put them all on there and then we'll just reuse that same pan once we get them breaded, throw them all back on there. So at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and continue and just do the rest of my chicken breasts. I have like 3.5 here, so it'll make about, oh, I don't know, 6, 7 portions of chicken. And if you have any left, it's really good just as a sandwich, like the next day. So a little bit extra turns into a whole nother meal. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these done, and then I will be back and we will get them breaded. All right, we are ready to bread our chicken. I did go ahead and pound out all of our little cutlets here over to the side. So when breading your chicken, you're gonna do it in 3 stages, or if you have veal or pork, whichever one you're doing. We're gonna do our flour first, then our egg mixture, and then our breadcrumb. I'm using a fine breadcrumb for this. You can use panko breadcrumbs, you can use gluten-free breadcrumbs, whatever you like. I'm just gonna do a fine one. And whenever you're breading something, it's very important to season each stage of it, just to really give that good flavor to the meat. So we are going to go ahead and do salt with our flour, into our eggs, and into our breadcrumbs. Also some pepper. And then into our eggs, we're gonna add a little bit of Dijon mustard. A little added layer of flavor. Okay, so I'm gonna just take a fork, just mix that in. Do your dry ingredients here. All right, and then a nice good squeeze of Dijon into the eggs. All right, and then when you're breading something, you can use your hands, you can use tongs, use a fork, whatever you like. If you use your hands, which is usually what I tend to do, just keep one hand for your dry ingredients, one for the wet ingredients. Otherwise, your hands get all clumpy. Breadcrumbs. All right. All right, so each layer is flavored. Put our fork away. And we will get started. So just take one of the chicken cutlets there and make sure it's all covered on both sides. And then we'll go ahead and put it into our egg Dijon mixture. I'm gonna switch hands here. Same thing, just make sure it all gets coated, because whatever is not coated with the egg mixture, your breadcrumbs won't stick to it. All right, and then right into your breadcrumbs. Throw a little bit of the dry on top so that you can grab it. Just like this. Okay, and then we'll just put them on our pan. And at this point, you want to lay them out in the pan. I definitely wouldn't stack them on top of one another. You don't want them to get soggy. You want them to kind of stay like that until you are ready to get them cooked. Again, I got my dry hand here. So, throw that into our eggs, switch hand. Okay, looks like it's all coated. Right to that breadcrumb. All right. Okay. And then just keep moving on to your next one. Okay, make sure it's all covered. Yep. And we'll just do this with all of them until we get them done. And then at this point, they're ready to either be cooked right away, if you're ready for that, if your pan is nice and hot and ready to go, or you can just take them and put them in the refrigerator. Just keep them cold if you're doing this earlier in the day until you are ready to get this cooked. We are not quite ready. It's a little bit too early for us, so I will just throw mine in the fridge and we will be back to get everything cooked and put together for you. Hi everyone, we are ready to get this meal put together, finally. Got the German music going. Grab your Stein, have a beer.
I can't.
Or 3 or 4, whatever fits in there. So here's what I have going on right now. I have the sauerkraut is warming up right now. I have the brown butter warming up as well. We're gonna toss our spätzle in there in a few minutes. I have a cast iron pan going, wide set pan. I just used the extra light olive oil. You can use any kind of a light oil because at this point we're gonna go ahead and cook our chicken. We can only do about 2 or 3 at a time, so I have my oven on low. It's at 170, that's the lowest that it goes. And I went ahead and put a pan in here that has a cooling rack on it as well, so that the chicken's not literally sitting on the pan, because then that bottom will get a little bit soggy. This way the heat kind of goes along the top and the bottom. It keeps it crispy. So I think our pan is probably ready to go. I've had it heating up for a good like 5 minutes or so. So at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and take some of our chicken. I kind of dip both sides so you get a little bit of that oil on both sides of it. Okay. Start to sizzle, so it should be pretty hot. And again, we'll just kind of cook it for a few minutes on each side, and then we'll take it out and we'll throw it into that warm oven. And that'll continue to cook it. I like to tilt it around, make sure that oil's kind of getting everywhere. All right. Sauerkraut is warming up. And then that brown butter is getting warm. So at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and take, this is a non-stick skillet. With that brown butter, I'm gonna take my Spätzle and throw them in there and let them start kind of warming up. And I just left them sitting out. Break those up in there. Start tossing them around with that brown butter. Kind of want to get it mixed in and get them broken up, but it'll take a few minutes. Sauerkraut and stir. For that heat up under that chicken. Oh, it's starting to get brown. Some of the oil is pooling over here, so I am going to go ahead and tilt that pan again just a little bit. Ah, yes. So get that nice brown crust on that side. That's what you're looking for. Ooh. Okay. I'm trying to heat up under the Spätzle. It's okay if they get a little bit brown. It's fine, they get a little crunchy. At this point, we will take these off, throw them on our pan, and we're going to put these in the warm oven. Again, they'll finish cooking in the oven. We're going to I turn the heat just down a tiny bit, throw a little bit more oil.
Fan.
Huh?
Fan.
Oh, yeah, turn our fan on. Okay. Might be a little bit low on the oil. And that's okay. If you feel like you didn't put enough oil in, just drizzle a little bit over the top of these so that when you flip them, they'll get nice and crispy. All right, we are gonna make our plate. So I will take the warm plate out of the microwave, come over to our oven, grab a piece of that chicken out of there. And with the chicken, any kind of schnitzel, I'm gonna do a little bit of lemon over the top of it. And I did not realize we had a German Dijon in there. So throw a little bit of this on the side. I'm not gonna put it right on top, but it's good to serve on the side. I don't have any parsley, so we'll just do a little bit of scallion over the top. And we'll get the rest. I'm gonna grab some of our Spätzle with the brown butter. Grab some of the sauerkraut. And then some of the cucumber salad. So I'll throw some of that in there. And what I always say about German food is this, all the flavors mixed together is awesome. So eat some of the chicken with the Spätzle, with the cucumber salad, with your sauerkraut. So you got everything on the plate ready to go. Throw your beer in there, prost, and enjoy.